From demon dogs to ghosts that just want to be acknowledged, today we check out 10 ghost reports from Scotland's Lothian. Number 1. Terrified Family. From 2010 to 2012, a family home in Dalkeith was believed to be haunted by 2 spirits, one of a man in a suit and a cap, and a blonde female spirit in night clothing. It is said the hauntings were so frequent that they decided to seek professional help. But after 2 house blessings failed to stop the activity, the Lothian Paranormal Investigation team came to the rescue. During their investigation of the property, the team got the name of the male spirit to be Thomas Laidlaw, and since their visit to the property, the activity has stopped. Number 2. Demon Dog. A group of friends have come forward with a terrifying account of when they were walking through the woods in Dunbar. They say that they were approached by a strange black dog with glowing red eyes that brought about a painful high-pitched screeching sound. Thankfully the dog didn't harm the group of friends and disappeared as mysteriously as it had appeared, leaving the group to wonder what exactly they had just experienced. Number 3. Timeslip Pilot. I'm not really sure if this is a ghostly encounter, but I had to include it. In 1934, a pilot flew over the disused Wren airfield, only to get a shock when he looked down, as the airfield appeared to be in full operation, with many yellow RAF aircraft, which the pilot found extremely out of place, as these planes did not exist at that time. Though many now believe what the pilot saw was a glimpse into the future, as a few years later the airfield did reopen for the RAF, and the planes based there were all painted yellow. Number 4. The Patient. A report from a doctor from the 24th of December 1887 accounts that in his own home at 7:30 in the morning, he came across the patient that he had seen the night previous stood in front of him, only to vanish into thin air. He later found out that the female patient had died in the exact same time that he saw her in his home. I'd like to think she meant him well and that the encounter wasn't a bad omen. Another similar story of a husband that had drowned far from home appeared to his family briefly to wave them goodbye. It is said that every few years he would return to check in on them. Number 5. The Woman and Child. Here's an interesting account from the 19th century, from a servant who said she quit her job after several disturbing encounters with a female spirit that would be seen holding a child. The most unsettling description to note is that the child was headless. In a calm state of mind, you can only wonder if the female spirit was seeking help from the servant, but you can completely understand why she was so desperate to get away. Number 6. The Sword Lady. There is a story from Edinburgh of a tree where many witnesses have reported seeing the shade of a lady wielding a sword, though thankfully the sightings have never brought anyone harm. There are 2 theories regarding her past. The most common is that she killed her lover after he became enraged and attacked her, and was then later executed for what she had done. The other version is that the lady herself was killed at this very spot. Number 7. Fireman. An old fire station in Edinburgh is actually believed to be haunted by the spirit of a fireman. This frequently seen spirit has been spotted all throughout the building by shocked workers and guests, always said to be wearing full old-fashioned fire uniform, and those that don't see him have still heard his disembodied footsteps walking about, when they know absolutely no one else is present in the building. Number 8. Bad news. A lady comes forward with a rather distressing event. She says that she once went to visit the cathedral in Edinburgh, and as she was looking around the building, she felt 3 sharp punches to the back of the neck, but she couldn't see anyone around that could have done it. She spoke to a worker about the incident, and he went on to tell her that someone else before had mentioned a similar encounter, but expressed that this was an unfortunate sign, as that person later received some bad news. Sure enough, later that day, the lady was informed that her son had died in an accident earlier that day. Number 9. The Hanging Man. From the 1970s, from a private residence in Edinburgh, comes a report from one of the family members, saying that they would constantly see a man lurking in the kitchen doorway. Though the figure never did any harm, it was always a startling encounter. It wasn't until the family was set to move away from the property that one of the neighbours recalled that the previous tenant had hung himself in the basement of the house, in the area directly under the kitchen doorway. And finally for this episode, number 10. Fred. The no longer operational RAF Turnhouse has an interesting report from the 1970s to 80s. Apparently a spirit was so accepted within the MOD transport section that the workers would say "Hey Fred" on a daily basis, as they believed that if Fred wasn't acknowledged, he would become very active, by means of moving things around and opening lockers. It is thought that Fred once worked here, but met his end by means of a fatal accident. That's all for this episode. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe.